Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. I told you we were very much ready this evening to take a look at all that happened and at the beautiful water sports over the week. I'm not alone in the studio this evening. I have Emmanuel Michael. Michael, good evening to you and welcome to the show.
Yeah, good evening to you, Kingsley, and good evening to our viewers out there. Always a delightful moment, talking sport right here on Atlantic Television Network.
All right, let's quickly take a look at, some interesting issues coming down from basketball at this moment as Rivers Hoopers secure big win over Delta Force, defending champions. Rivers Hoopers, of course, started their basketball league defense this weekend and was, of course, an impressive victory we saw against Delta Force in that encounter. Michael, what do you make of it? Rivers Hoopers, starting their basketball Premier League down here in Nigeria in a winning note.
I think for me it's a very nice way to start the league. As a defending champion, you need to start on a very good footing to actually tell your fans that indeed you are very ready for this one, just like the way Bolton Celtic of the NBA started the league in an impressive fashion. So for me, I think it's a nice one having to start your title defense on a winning note. I think that gives the team a lot of confidence going forward because, your first game is as important as every other game out there. When you get to win your first game, then it helps to calm the nerves of the players as well. So for me, I think it's an impressive one. Don't also forget that after the Afro Basketball Championship, the way they did very proud, they came back, and had maybe some couple of period of inactivity per se, but then on the 64th, as anniversary celebration of Nigeria, of course, they were able to take part in such a mini competition so as to mark Nigerians' independence. Of course, they did pretty well in that very one, coming top in that very one. So for me, starting the league in an impressive fashion, winning, and the point margin, for me, very high. Clearly tells you of the readiness of Rivers Hoopers, the Kingsmen, as they are popularly known, to defend the title they won last time. And I think for me, I believe they have what it takes. It's a great one, big congratulations for them, but then they need to do more.
They need to do more, of course. It ended 87-39, very high margin down there against South rivals Delta Force over the weekend. Hooper started strong with a 27-9 lead at the end of the first quarter, and the fourth extended it to 48-17 over Delta Force, who struggled from both ends of the floor. The second quarter was no different as the Kingsmen continued to annihilate their opponents from Asaba. Ifeanyi Koko scored 18 points, 16 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals to go with it. Koko also shot 3 of 3 from behind the arc and putting up some impressive, of course, performance down there for his team in the encounter we saw against Delta Force. Now, on his league debut, Samuel was a delight to watch in front of the Edo fans who came to watch as well. The former High Flyers of Benin Center player had 11 points from 5 to 6 in that one, which included 3 dunks in the game. So he added 4 rebounds and made 1 to 2 from the line. It was also another great debut for Victor Sunday, who shot 8 points on 4-4 shooting, 6 assists and 3 rebounds from the bench. Buchiwai Wawu and Victor Mohammed both contributed from the board with 8 to 10 rebounds made respectively. In their next game, and look forward to see how that will. Look forward to bringing the results, of course, of that encounter, as it stands. And let's talk Formula One this evening as Verstappen, led by 10 points, finishing second this time around at the Grand Prix we saw over the weekend. And talking about it, the man was penalized in this particular one, and not, of course, a very good outfit for him this time around, Michael, where we saw, Carlos Sainz of Ferrari, coming top in this one, and Lando Norris, his rival this season, coming second in this particular one.
Well, I think for me, for Carlos Sainz of Ferrari, we want to say very big congratulations to him because building up to that race, nobody actually reckoned with Ferrari to be the frontliner for that very race out there. Many people actually tipped the likes of McLaren and even Max Verstappen of Red Bull, but then it didn't pan, and the Ferrari guys, they had a different ball game altogether. Came in very strong, were able to hold their own, especially where there was a dangerous driving from Max Verstappen, but then he was still able to swerve his way and maintain his teeth, not until he came top in that very one. I tell you, it's a very, very big, victory for Ferrari, finishing first and third as it is. Both drivers from Ferrari, it clearly tells you of their impressive display over the weekend in the Formula One. But then I also think that McLaren also did a lot, finishing second in that very one. In the last couple of 4-3 races right now, you've seen McLaren also showing that instinct that indeed they want to improve. But for Max Verstappen, I tell you, his dangerous driving did not help him at all, because he was actually penalized, made him to finish, disappointingly in the 6th position for a driver like Max Verstappen that have always dominated proceedings since last year. In fact, this season alone, he has won about 7 races, opened up a massive point gap. If not for, the improvement of McLaren and possibly Ferrari, maybe by now, it would have been done and dusted for Max Verstappen and Red Bull. They should have coasted home the victory even before the last 4 races. But because of the strong show of McLaren, I think we've been able to, they've been able to bridge the gap to 47 as it is right now. And I tell you, it's an impressive one. But then it is coming though a little for Ferrari, because just less than 4 races to go, and they're beginning to show up, that championship instincts in them. And for me, if they had started in a very fine footing earlier before now, I think they would have made an impressive outing so far for this season. But then let's keep our fingers crossed, hoping that they are going to replicate this same form in the next race that we are about to head into over the weekend. But I tell you, it was an impressive one for Ferrari, finishing first and third. Clearly tells you that their drivers they are living up to expectation for the last race.
And you're looking about Ferrari, you understand Lewis Hamilton the next year, and looking at what they're doing at this point, you see Hamilton building on this.
Definitely. Hamilton, of course, his pedigree in the Formula One is actually won it, time and time without number again. It's just that it looks as though the last 2 seasons under Mercedes have not been able to, hit that prime of him that we saw in the past years out there. I don't know, just maybe it's because of the engine of the Mercedes have not been able to put it into, proper shape. The head man talking about Toto Wolff actually talked about this earlier in the season and said that they considered, even didn't get underway, that they had no chance at all against the Red Bull in competing against them. And for the man, Lewis Hamilton, he has actually promised that he's going to give more than 110% for the Mercedes before leaving in 2025. What he's doing this, there is a hope that indeed when Hamilton, cross carpet over to Ferrari, maybe we are going to see the best of Hamilton once more.
Now let's talk about the rivalry between Lando Norris and Max Verstappen. Lando Norris, no one gave him the chance, but looking at what he's doing at this point in time, everyone wants to see the man is, should be one of those drivers that, everyone will be talking about at this point in time. Long do you see this progress from Lando Norris? Maybe not after this season. I would not tend to talk about him or see him at the top. I think at some point, even when the season started, yes, it started very early when the season started and started pulling up this strength. But do you see him being on that limelight for a very long time?
I do not see him. I think he needs to maintain that stage before we can truly say that he is the man in a run for his money. It's not just about some stuff, maybe call it a flash in the pan in 1 or 2 races. they show some of those good stuff are maintaining that content. The only thing that can help you to an expert such as Max Verstappen, who has gained mastery over the years. I mean, when he is on the track, he knows one or two tactics or tricks to use to help him have an advantage over his opponent. And I think for me, he needs to show more consistency if we want to truly be, ranked as a player, or rather as a driver that can be able to give Max Verstappen a run for his money. For him,
Verstappen, Michael. Everyone was comparing him with Lewis Hamilton, especially when he was, drivers, championship and the second as well. Lewis Hamilton is good. But when Max Verstappen took over, I think that was Abu Dhabi Grand Prix goal to say he got it and got the second. And everyone was like, oh, Max Verstappen, of course, is going to stage that dominant just like we saw Lewis Hamilton as well. But at this point, it's looking as if the man is going to get a short reign because McLaren, Lando Norris, is gradually closing the gap at this point in time. It's looking like he might not even end the season with the drivers, title. But the question now comes, why is it looking like the man is going to get, a short reign when he has to do with dominance in Formula 1?
You cannot also forget how the season started. It started with their backroom activities out there, talking about the company itself, Red Bull. They had leadership issues, also here and there at some point. So many persons thought that maybe it's going to affect Max Verstappen for the rest of the season. But then, despite all those, pull the string and continue to turn the screw, he has already. And of course, at some point, of course, that the father also got involved in that, brew that was happening within the Red Bull. So a whole lot of allegations here and there, and it actually distracted the team, honestly speaking. If not for the fact that Max Verstappen is mentally strong. I tell you, there are some drivers that would not even take the mental stress of what they passed through in the course of the season because of those distractions here and there, in-house fighting, battle for supremacy, different, faction here and there with him. I mean, he actually, served as a major blow, rather, for Max Verstappen on the Formula 1 track out there. But then he was still able to maintain cool by winning 7 races. So I would not say that his reign has been cut short. He's still holding sway. Let's see. This season comes this season, we can stand a proper ground if they've actually put a let's see if we're going to replicate this form. But I tell you, the man has been very dominant. In the last 3 seasons, I think the only name was Max Verstappen and Red Bull. Then no thanks again to his colleague, talking about his teammate, Sergio Perez, who for me, I think has been very, very disappointing. If, for example, Perez is finishing within the podium, I mean, rack up points to add to what Max Verstappen is doing, I think the point margin would have been even further broadened right now because leaving the bulk of the work on the shoulder of one man is very difficult. So I think that Sergio Perez, for me, need to do a lot. If not, he should be dropped, and maybe they should go and look for other drivers to take up that position, because you guys can't be two. You are paid the same amount, earning so much, yet you are leaving the bulk of the work for one man to carry on the burden.
He's the lead driver of the team. He's the lead driver of the team.
Yeah. So for me, I think it is too much for Max Verstappen, despite being that he's a lead driver, and Sergio Perez is maybe a fringe driver, as a second driver. But they're expected, even if you're a second driver, to win 2 or 3 races. But since the start of the season, he found it very difficult to finish within the podium, and that has affected, the points lead of Red Bull and Max Verstappen.
All right, so talking about the Mexico City Grand Prix, Carlos Sainz with Total finish 4th for Ferrari, Lando Norris 2nd for McLaren, Charles Leclerc 3rd for Ferrari. Lewis Hamilton, has been so silent, finished 4th For Mercedes, George Russell, 5th as well. Max Verstappen will to finish 6th. And Kevin Magnesium of Haas finished 7th. Oscar Piastri finished 8th. And Nico Hülkenberg of Haas came 9th. Pierre Gasly of Alpine came 10th in that particular one. All right, let's quickly move on now to talk about tennis on the show this evening. Jack Draper won the biggest for his career at the Bank Open in Vienna as the British won a breakout season reached even greater height. Draper produced an outstanding level to beat Russian Karen Kakanov 6-4, 7-5 in the final of the ATP 500 event. The 22-year-old left-hander who reached his maiden Grand Slam semi-final at the US Open last month rise to a career high ranking of 15th in the world come today, and it is the second top level title of Draper's career, having won an ATP 250 in Stuttgart earlier this season. Similarly, Perigard continued his impressive season by overpowering Shilton with a 6-4, 7-6 victory to claim the Swiss indoors title in Basel, marking his second title this year. Let's quickly move on now to bring the latest coming from the Nigerian Premier Football League. We saw some exciting results over the weekend. Michael, what do you make of it? Was a weekend where we saw much of home wins and no away wins as well in the Nigerian Premier Football League. But first, let's talk about the one at the Adoke Messi Stadium. Rivers United draw at home this time against Economy Warriors.
For me, I think it's not a good one for Rivers United. I expected them to go for all 3 points, to go for the killer, especially having the advantage of playing against a 10-man opponent. I expected Rivers United to come out gun blazing, get the goals and get all 3 points, and to also further broaden the gap on the table out there. But it was quite unfortunate that they couldn't get all 3 points against a 10-man opponent, which for me, I think is the greatest undoing for the coach, Finidi George. Because don't forget, the season is still very fresh. And when you have this kind of opportunity, there is need for you to take the opportunity. Take all 3 points. You never know what may happen in the mid-season. When we get to match day 15, match day 20, where all the teams have, properly gelled with the new players that they've acquired over the course of, the transfer window. So we had expected Rivers United to get all 3 points so that to do the gap or the lead in the table out there, but then it wasn't to be. I will also give opponent as well, who did pretty well. They remained the two-side unbeaten so far. So for me, typical of the Nigerian Premier Football League, 6 games, produce a total of about 13 goals. Having a 2.001% goal ratio scored by each game. But then the most disheartening aspect is that we did not record a single away win. We had about 4 home wins, which for me, I think I'm not comfortable with that. We want to see our league continue to improve. And how do we improve our league? By seeing at least away teams out of 6 games in different centers, maybe having 3 away wins or possibly 2 away wins. That could also help to balance the book. It's not every time you are seeing home wins. Out of 6 games, you are recording 5, home wins. It doesn't just good or the rivalry of those teams are there. So for me, going forward, I would love our team to also increase their tempo. You go away, play very well. If you deserve all 3 points, you go home with all 3 points, and that is the way we get to improve our league.
All right, let's see how it goes. But Enyimba as well, we're able to get all 3 points. City, 2-1 ended in that encounter, and United beats Canopy. This time they were at home, and they got all 3 points as well in that game. Plus United beat the Sunshine Stars by 3-0. Heartland against Remo Stars. Michael, what do you make of that result from Heartland FC?
It was a great one for Heartland FC. Look at the fact that they've actually struggled since the start of the season, but get a very dogged Remo Stars side that is also vying for the league title this season. I think it's a statement of intent for heartland. Let's hope that they continue with this impressive display. Them at home, the next game they lose the next game and all of that. They come back to square one rather. So I hope to see them continue to get this kind of positive result. And for Remo Stars, may want to say a disappointing one for them for the title chase. Though may want to say it's too early call to make right now because we still have lots and lots of game to play. But then as a contender, a title contender, you don't need to be losing against a struggling team like Heartland FC.
Shooting Stars it's Aqua United. Aqua United continue to struggle. That's 2-1 in that particular encounter. Let's move on. So we'll take a look at the FIFA Under-17 Women World Cup, talking about the Flamingos of Nigeria. Michael, the Flamingos, they lost to the United States of America 2-0. That's one. This was the same United States of America that ousted them out from the competition last time. Seeing the same stage of the competition, I don't know what you make of it. Why is it so difficult for the Flamingos to get past the United States of America anytime they meet?
For me, you can't actually underrate the United States of America in terms of women football. They have been up there, in a couple of years right now. They are doing pretty well when it has to do with female football. But this time around, if you take a look at the impressive display of the Flamingos, especially in the group stage, we had hope and confidence going forward in the game against United States of America, because during the group stage we played 3 games, scored 9 goals, considered just a goal, and there was this confidence ahead of that game against US that possibly this might be our time for us to take a pound of flesh, but then it wasn't to be, as those 2 goals from each half packing out of the competition. I think for me, what a very disappointing one. Then we need to also take some positive from the outing. Positive in the sense that we see some young crops of talented players in that squad that we can also say, these are the future of the Super Falcons. Less of Moshood, I think she did pretty well. Very good. A left footer, but you need to just watch her skills out there and her trickeries inside the box, the 18-yard box. I think for me, these are some of the positive that we need to take out of that game. But in all, I think it was a very disappointing one, the way we were actually knocked out against the same opponent that sent us packing last time in this same stage of the competition. I think we need to do more. Maybe next edition, whenever we are meeting some of these, big name teams. But then I give kudos to the girls for their run so far.
All right, away from the Flamingos, Flying Eagles of Nigeria will trade tackles with Ghana in the final of the 2024 WAFU B Under-20 Championship, which holds in Lomé, Togo. Nigeria came from a goal down to beat Nigeria Republic 3-1, while Ghana beats Cote d'Ivoire 2-1 in the semi-final to book a final ticket against Nigeria. The final will hold on the 30th of October 2024 at the Stade Kouké Lomé at 7 p.m. The 2 finalists have qualified for the CAF Under-20 African Nations Cup, and Nigeria are the defending champions as they won the title in 2022. Away from that, of course, we've got to report as well that Libya Football Federation has filed an appeal against the recent decision by the Confederation of African Football to award Nigeria 3 points and 3 goals following a disrupted African Cup of Nations qualifier initially scheduled for October 15th in Benina, Libya. Michael, what do you make of it? The Libyans are not happy based on the decision of CAF to award Nigeria 3 goals and 3 points, and also fine them $50,000. They've taken the matter, to the next level by, putting up an appeal this time. You think they will succeed?
For me, I think it is within their right to file an appeal against the judgment that didn't actually go their way. But the truth is that the evidence on ground were too overwhelming for them to have a favorable judgment, from the CAF disciplinary committee, because even the pilot who diverted the plane instead of landing at Benghazi to land at Al-Barak actually said he was going to testify if called upon So for me, like I said, the evidence were too overwhelming for them to have a favorable judgment. This time around, they are taking the matter, a bit far to appeal. Of course, it is within their own ambits, within their right to file for another case. But then, the truth is that it's going to be an effort in futility for them, because I do not see any other judgment that is going to, throw away some of those facts and evidence that is on ground. Also, for me, I think it's just time wasting for them, because the decision has come, and like I said, they have the chance as well, and also the right to go and file for an appeal. But the truth remains that it was a sham and shenanigan. It was a show of shame by the Libyan authority. That wasn't the first time that they're treating their opponent in a very inhumane manner. It is not the second time. In fact, record have shown it that they did that against two Nigerian club sides, before. And for me, I think they are just wasting their precious time, for this appeal.
All right, at this point, we'll take a break. We'll come back from the break, we'll move straight to Europe as we'll take a look at the situation of things between Manchester United and their coach, Erik ten Hag. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on 18.
a win so far as it is. Then you talk about their standings on the English Premier League table. They are seated 14 as it is right now, which is very, very poor of Manchester United as a very big club out there. In the Europa, they are seated 21st on the log in that standing, having drawn all of their 3 games. In fact, as it stands this season, Manchester United is the only team in the whole of English Premier League they have created big chances and have lost as much as 22 big chances created so far. In their last 9 games as well, they've failed to score in the first half, and that is how bad it is for Manchester United. And that is why I say that maybe not a good one, and maybe a good one. A good one in the sense that taking a look at those stats that I just rolled out, it's not a good one for a club such as Manchester United. Then, on the other hand, you want to say it's not a good one for letting him go, because if you take a look at the record and stats, you know, since he assumed the position of Manchester United, his head coach, he has played 128 games, won 70, draw 23, and lost 35 out of those 128 games. And he's having a win ratio of 55%, which for me, I think, is very, very okay. Then, moving forward to the titles won, in less than 3 years, Erik ten Hag has won 2 trophies for Manchester United. I want to compare that with a 5-year stay of Mikel Arteta under Arsenal. He has also won 2 trophies in 5 years, whereas Manchester United, Erik ten Hag, has won 2 trophies in less than 3 years. So for me, take a look at the record and juxtapose it. You want to say, Erik ten Hag had a very impressive record: 128 games, 71, 23 drawn, 35 losses, 55% win ratio, which for me I think is very very massive for Erik ten Hag. So I do not know where he will be heading next, but one thing is certain, that Manchester United board, they want to make a change. It is also surprising that they are coming out this time around, to relieve him of his appointment, because some persons actually expected the board to do this immediately the season ended last season. They had ample opportunity to sit down, do a total evaluation of what Erik ten Hag has done. And of course, they gave him a pass mark. They ticked the box for him, after total appraisal. And they had to tick him, giving him a new contract to continue. Less than 10 games in the new season, you are letting him go after giving him all the backings. I mean, that is very counterintuitive move for me. It doesn't actually, synchronize with their former, idea of backing the coach at this point in time. And then again, they are going to pay him a serious severance fee, because they did not allow him to fulfill his contract, which for me, I think it does not also go down well with Manchester United, considering the fact they are trying to cut, expenditures right now in the club. And that is why Alex Ferguson has been relieved as the ambassador. For next season, he won't be paid any longer. And some of the staff members has also been reduced as well, because they want to manage the team and also make gain as well. So for me, if you take a look at all this, you want to say it's not a good one letting him go right now, because they are going to pay him a severance fee. And then again, take a look at his record. It has not been a very bad one. So I think for me, all the decision taken by the board is for the good of the club, in their pursuit to gain back that recognized fame and popularity that Manchester United have actually created over the past years. And I think as it is right now, they are just living on that past glory, and maybe they want to bring back the glory to Old Trafford, and that is how and that is why they let the man Erik ten Hag go.
All right, let's see how it goes. Who will bring the glory for Manchester United? That's a big question. Who will bring the glory back, for Manchester United?
It's a question it's another very big question that we need to ask, because, this question, I know it will be boggling through your mind while we were talking. Who is that person that will bring back the glory to Manchester United, to the Old Trafford, now that a theater of dream that now seems to be a theater of, horror and nightmare for them? That is another question. Who is that man that is going to bring back the glory for Manchester United? I don't know whether it's, Javi Hernandez, the former Barca, I don't know whether it is Nagelsmann, the former Bayern Munich coach as well. I don't know whether it's Roberto Di Zerbi, because there are so many names that have actually popped up as a leading front runner, rather, for the job as it is right now. Now, you take a look at it. Since the era of Sir Alex Ferguson came to an end in 2013, Manchester United have gotten about 9 coaches, whether on permanent basis or interim basis. in 11 years of Manchester United letting Alex Ferguson go, they've employed 9 good managers out of 11 years. So I think this time around, they need to take time to look for that man, that perfect man in quotes, that is going to bring back the glory to Manchester United.
All right, let's see how it goes. We'll keep our fingers crossed. But from the result we saw yesterday in the Premier League, Chelsea beats Newcastle United 2-1. Crystal Palace beat Tottenham Hotspur by 1-0. West Ham United totally beat Manchester United 2-1. And Arsenal played to a draw against Liverpool. Michael, not a good way, of course, good one for Arsenal, because everyone thought, they were, going to put up a very impressive performance this season. But they've lost some couple of games, they've drawn some, and this time around they are seated third, of course, on the log at this point. They drew yesterday against Liverpool, a game everyone thought they were going to at least take all 3 points back home, but that draw, what do you make of the way Arsenal started the season? With this level of performance, you think they're going to chase the title in a very, very impressive fashion?
It's going to be a very difficult call right now. Taking a look at the injury worries for Arsenal, building up to that game, there was this fear that Arsenal might lose all 3 points, but then they were able to defy the odds. And we saw Bukayo Saka starting despite the injury worries earlier. We saw Jurgen Timber also back in the mix for Arsenal starting in 11 as well. The only player that was fine missing was their captain, talking about Martin Odegaard in the midfield. Then again, talk about William Saliba as well, who wasn't there. But then Arsenal started on a very impressive note, taking the lead first before allowing Liverpool to come back into the game. Arsenal had to strike again, the second time, to make it 2-1. Holding on to that lead to about 80-something minutes, with all those their delaying tactics and all of that, which for me have been very boring, because Arsenal has been accused of those delaying tactics, wasting time. Don't forget, last season as well, they are the most team that wasted a lot of time last season, and they started that again against Liverpool. Maybe they just wanted to see if they can be able to finish the job, but it wasn't to be, as they allowed Mohamed Salah to strike very late on into the game to make it a 2-2 apiece, thereby giving them that 1 point, and therefore reducing the gap that Arsenal should have closing on Manchester City, or possibly even Liverpool as well. So the question is, can Arsenal mount another serious title challenge this season with their loss and draws? And I think for me it's going to be very difficult unless Mikel Arteta find a way to be able to create a balance between the team whenever some of these big names is not available. We are just facing this just because Martin Odegaard is out injured and Saliba wasn't there. What if Bukayo Saka get injured, or Trossard or Martinelli? There is a question for another team for them to answer. So I think in all, it's going to be a very difficult season for Arsenal to mount a serious title challenge again this time around. And it is always very difficult when Manchester City assume the top spot. You know how difficult it is for them to come down. They haven't assumed that top spot right now. I think he leaves Arsenal and possibly Liverpool, Aston Villa or Chelsea in the mix to chase after City right now.
All right, we also saw Bournemouth. They drew against Aston Villa, 1-1 draw. Brentford beat Ipswich Town by 4-3 in that encounter. Brighton and Hove Albion played 2-2 draw against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Manchester City beat Southampton by 1-0. Everton played 1-1 draw against Fulham. Leicester City, they lost to Nottingham Forest by 3-1. Michael, tonight the Ballon d'Or award, of course, will take center stage. And we're getting some reports that Vinicius Jr. Might not be in Paris at this point in time. We don't really know the reason, and we hear that other Madrid players might not also be there, even their coach Carlo Ancelotti as well. I don't know what you make of these reports coming in at this point in time.
Well, it looks as though they have gotten maybe an info that possibly maybe Vinicius Jr. is not going to win that very well, and to them they deem it fit because to their own thinking, they think that Vinicius Jr. deserves to win this year's award. But maybe they just got an information that is not going to win it, and that is why they have declined traveling to Paris to honor this award. And it's not a good sportsmanship behavior for me, if you ask me, because even if you are not going to be crowned as a Ballon d'Or, you know, you still need to go out there, you know, to cheer others that will be, you know, accorded that award, because next time you might also, you know, win it. And if you don't see any other players, other contingent coming out to support you, to cheer you, will you feel happy? So I think for me, it's not the spirit, a good spirit of a sportsmanship, which we keep preaching about, you know. But then, in all, I'm just keeping my fingers crossed, hoping that they, you know, the organizers do the right thing, because the statistics are there for them to look at it before giving, you know, this award, so that at least they maintain the integrity of the award. Because if a big club like Madrid, that have actually carved a niche for themselves in the Champions League, even in the league and global football, is declining from attending such a big and massive, you know, award ceremony, it clearly tells you that a lot will be missed, because, you know, they are the heritage when you talk about Madrid, heritage of football. And if you are not having, you know, the contingent of the heritage, it means such a award have lost its value a little bit, you know, whichever way you want to look at it. But like I said, it is not a good one if they don't attend.
All right, at this point, we'll call it a wrap on the show. We'll be back tomorrow by 7 a.m. For Sports Talk to bring you the latest revolving round the beautiful world of sports. Special thanks to Michael for doing justice on the show. Keep our fingers crossed and see who wins the Ballon d'Or award tonight. Promises to be an exciting one. But don't forget, peace and unity always the pathways to progress. My name is Kingsley Emmanuel. Thanks for watching.